Even though the Shure Aonic 50s have a solid foundation to them, for me, these headphones are a hard pass because performance-wise, these headphones have a lot of room for improvement. And if you're looking for a pair of headphones to constantly commute with, then I feel that it's very hard to justify getting these headphones when compared to the Sony 1000 XM3s or the Bose NC 700s. But today, we're going to be comparing these headphones to more audiophile-centric options, like the Sennheiser Momentum 3s and the Bowers and Wilkins PX7s. So first off, there's price. All three of these headphones retail for $400. But one thing that I do want to point out here is that the Aonic 50s are Shure's first attempt at over-ear ANC headphones, whereas the PX7s are Bowers and Wilkins' second attempt, and as the name implies, the Momentum 3s are Sennheiser's third attempt. So here's hoping that we see some major improvements with these second generation Aonic 50s. But nonetheless, if you want to pick any of these headphones up, they'll be linked down below. Next up, let's address the carrying cases that come included with these headphones. If you're planning on regularly commuting with your headphones, then personally for me, the Aonic 50s are automatically disqualified because their case is huge. It feels premium and it's going to keep these headphones protected, but it's just way too big. Now the Momentum 3's case also feels premium, but I also wouldn't feel comfortable commuting with these headphones because I think you run the risk of crushing your headphones. But then there are the PX7's case. It feels premium, it's extremely sturdy so you don't have to worry about your headphones, and it's also a manageable size, comparable to the Sony 1000 XM3s and Bose NC 700's case. So plainly said, if you're looking for a pair of quality headphones to travel with, then the PX7s are a no-brainer here. Now, when it comes to the headphones themselves, all three of these headphones have sturdier and more premium build qualities than what you would find on your more mainstream options, like the Sonys and Bose. And all three of these headphones, build quality-wise, should stand the test of time better than the Sonys and Bose when it comes to wear and tear. Now, all three of these headphones feel great in the hand, but something that I do want to call attention to here is going to be the feel of their ear pads and headband. Now, the Sennheisers have the best feeling ear cups here, particularly because they're using real sheepskin leather, which just feels very luxurious. It's soft and it's very supple. Whereas the leatherette on the PX7s also feels very nice, but it's just not quite as nice as what you would find on the Momentum 3s. And it's also a slight downgrade from what you would find on the Bose NC 700s. And then there's the leatherette on the Shures. It's passable, but it does feel rubbery. And something that I also want to quickly point out on the Shures is that I feel their control buttons feel pretty cheap, especially their ambient and active noise cancellation slider, whereas the control buttons on these other two headphones feel much better. But overall, all of these headphones have decent build quality to them, and they are a step up from their more mainstream options. But I think the main differentiating factor here for a lot of people is going to be the feel of their earpads. And if that's the case, then the Sennheisers do edge out here a little bit. Now, when it comes to actually wearing these headphones, first off, I gotta point out that both the PX7s and Shures are not big head approved, because they both do have firmer fits to them. Whereas the Momentum 3s are big head approved because they have less clamping force. So I can wear these headphones for hours on end without any problems. But something that I do gotta point out about all three of these headphones is that since they do have sturdier and more premium build qualities than their more mainstream counterparts, they are a little heavier. Now, the heaviest headphones here are the Shures, weighing in at 334 grams, whereas the Sennheisers weigh in at 306 grams and the PX7s weigh in at 305 grams. And for comparison, the Bose NC 700s weigh in at 263 grams, and the Sony 1000 XM3s weigh in at 252 grams. So what I'm getting at here is that with these more premium feeling options, they are more noticeable when you've got them on your head. and you really do notice them when you're walking around with them on when compared to their more mainstream counterparts. But since the Shures weigh in at 334 grams, they're even more noticeable. Now, when it comes to their earpads, even though my ears fit okay with the Shures, they do feel a little cramped because these earpads have a very low ceiling to them. Whereas the earpads on the Sennheisers are more spacious and they should have no problem fitting most ear types. But if you have really large ears or ears that stick out a lot, then you might want to go with the PX7s, because these headphones have the roomiest ear cups here. And these ear cups are very similar to the ones that you'll find on the Bose NC 700s. But the last thing that I do want to address about these headphones is heating. Since the earpads on the PX7s have the least amount of contact area, these earpads heat up the slowest, which contributes to overall comfort. Whereas the earpads on the Sennheisers heat up like your average pair of headphones because they have an average amount of contact area. But then there are the Shures, which do like to heat up fairly quickly because they do have a lot of surface area. But overall, when it comes to fit, for me, the Momentum 3s are the best fitting headphones here, but that's completely subjective because they're Big Hit approved. Objectively, I would have to say the PX7s are the most comfortable headphones here if you have a smaller head, because these headphones have the most spacious ear cups here, and they heat up the slowest. But I still say the Momentum 3s come in second here, because their ear cups are more spacious than the Shures, and they don't heat up as fast either. Now, when it comes to tech specs, all three of these headphones charge via a USB-C port as they should. And you can actually use the USB-C port on all of these headphones as a wired connection, which is something that you can't do with more mainstream options like the Sony 1000 XM3s or Bose NC 700s. Now, when it comes to battery life, unfortunately, the Momentum 3s are trailing behind here a little bit because they're only good for up to 18 hours, which is a little below average for headphones in 2020. Now, the battery life on the Shures is also a little below average because these headphones are only good for up to 20 hours of playback time. And for headphones in 2020, we like to see more of a 25-hour battery life. But then there are the PX7s, which have a battery life that's good for up to 30 hours, which is a little above average, and they're clearly trying to go after the Sony 1000 XM3s, which also have a battery life that's good up to 30 hours of playback time. Now, when it comes to Bluetooth connectivity, all three of these headphones can be connected to two devices at the same time, so you can easily hot swap from one device to another, which could be a big deal for some power users out there. And when it comes to watching movies or videos on your phone, all three of these headphones have zero latency across the board, whether you're using an iPhone or an Android device. And when it comes to audio codecs, all three of these headphones have a more extensive list than your typical mainstream options. Now, the Momentum 3s have support for SBC, AAC, aptX, and aptX low latency, whereas the PX7s have support for SBC, AAC, aptX, aptX HD, and aptX adaptive. But then there are the Shures, which have support for SBC, AAC, aptX, aptX HD, aptX low latency, and they also have support for Sony's LDAC. But if you want to, you can always just use a wired connection with any of these headphones. The only thing that I do want to point out here is that the PX7s are the only headphones here that are using a 3.5mm audio jack, whereas these other two headphones are using 2.5mm audio jacks. But now let's talk about listening to music with these headphones. Now, everything that I'm going to say here on out is with the ANC on all of these headphones turned off. The Shure Aonic 50s are a pair of very flat sounding headphones. The bass on these headphones has very little physicality to it. It doesn't resonate all that much and it's not going to rattle your head. But my biggest problem with these headphones is that even though their bass has very little physicality to it, sometimes the bass on these headphones might rattle a little bit. And if you were to go into their companion app and select their low boost EQ, then you're going to hear that rattling even more often. And even in their low boost EQ, these headphones still have very little bass. Now, keep in mind, even though Shure's companion app allows you to select from a few pre-made EQs or even make your own, these EQ settings are not loaded directly onto the headphones themselves. If you want these EQ settings to take effect, you gotta play your locally stored music through this app. Otherwise, if you're streaming music through any other app, you're stuck with the stock EQ on these headphones. Now, like I said, the bass on these headphones is very flat, but they do have pronounced mids. Now, these headphones have great clarity, but when it comes to their instrument separation and soundstage, I think it just sounds average. Whereas with the Bowers and Wilkins PX7s, their standout characteristic is their super wide soundstage and instrument separation. These headphones sound super open. The only thing about them is that they don't have an adjustable EQ. But personally, I really wouldn't change anything about them because these headphones have a very balanced sound signature with a decent amount of resonating bass. But then, there are the Momentum 3s, and these are the people pleasers here. Now, they also have a wide soundstage and great instrument separation. It's not quite up there like the PX7s, but it's still really good. But the thing about these headphones is that they have an adjustable EQ. And unlike the Shure's, this EQ setting is loaded directly onto the headphones themselves. Now, if you want a flat sound signature like the Shure's, you can do that, or if you want to turn the bass up on these headphones, you can also do that. Now, the majority of the bass on these headphones is going to resonate. But if you turn up the bass on these headphones, then these headphones are going to physically rattle your head a little bit. It doesn't hit you as hard as the bass on the Sony 1000 XM3s when you turn up their clear bass setting, but it is something. So overall, personally for me, the Shure's are my least favorite sounding headphones here because their bass is very flat, but that's definitely a preference thing. But then there's also the fact that sometimes their bass does start to rattle a little bit, which I feel is unacceptable for $400 headphones. But then there's also their instrument separation and soundstage, which just sounds average. Then there are the PX7s, which I think are the best sounding headphones here because of their very impressive soundstage. But personally, for me, my favorite sounding headphones here are the Momentum 3s because they're just a lot of fun if you turn up the bass on these headphones. All while still having great instrument separation and a wide soundstage. But keep in mind, everything that I said about these headphones sound quality wise was with their ANC turned off. If you were to use either the Shure's or PX7s with their ANC turned on, they do change how they sound. The Shure's get a little shallow and the soundstage on the PX7s narrows up a little bit and their bass doesn't resonate as deep. The PX7s still sound good, but they sound noticeably better with their ANC turned off. Whereas with the Momentums, they don't change how they sound with their ANC turned on, which is good. And when it comes to the actual effectiveness of the active noise cancellation on these headphones, both the PX7s and Momentum 3s do outperform the Shure's by a decent amount. But so that you can see for yourself, we're going to jump into an ANC test. Now, just so that we're clear here, all of these headphones are being used in their maximum ANC setting, because all of them have levels to their active noise cancellation to choose from. So, like you may have just seen, both the Momentum 3s and PX7s block out more noise than the Shure's. The Momentum 3s block out noticeably more noise, while the PX7s block out significantly more noise. Now, even though the PX7s block out significantly more noise than the Shures, they do have a lot of cabin pressure by 2020 standards, to the point where you're going to feel like you got to pop your ears from time to time if you're not playing music through these headphones or if you're watching movies with them. Whereas with the Momentum 3s, they barely have any cabin pressure, and they have way less cabin pressure than the Shures. So overall, I gotta say the Momentum 3s have the best performing active noise cancellation here. Now, no, they aren't blocking out as much noise as the Sony 1000 XM3s or Bose NC 700s, and the PX7s clearly block out more noise. But unlike the Shures and PX7s, their active noise cancellation doesn't change how their music sounds, and they also barely have any cabin pressure, which contributes to their overall comfort. But now let's switch over to the ambient modes on these headphones. Now, the ambient modes on all of these headphones sound natural, and they all have zero hissing in the background, which is very important for when you're watching movies with these headphones. But the problem with the ambient mode on the Shures is that they like to pick up a lot of wind noise when walking outdoors, which could be a problem for commuters. Whereas the ambient mode on these other two headphones pick up significantly less wind noise. But the Momentum 3s do a better job of rejecting wind noise than the PX7s. Now, before we jump into the microphone test, I do want to quickly point out that the Shures are the only headphones here that don't have wear sensors, so that when you take your headphones off, they'll automatically pause your music, and then when you put them back on, they'll start playing your music again. Now, personally, I don't really care for wear sensors, and I usually just turn that feature off on all of my headphones, but I thought I'd point it out. But now, here's the microphone test, and unfortunately, the PX7s do have the worst performing microphone here, specifically because I sound very muffled. Now, even though I do think my voice does sound pretty good with the microphone on the Shure Aonic 50s, unfortunately, this microphone really isn't doing much to block out this AC unit I've got here. And even if I were to turn off this AC unit, I still think the microphone on these headphones isn't all that great, because if I stay quiet, you're going to hear a constant buzzing in the background. So yeah, that's the buzzing that I'm talking about. So overall, I don't think the microphone on these headphones is all that great either. But finally, there's the microphone on the Momentum 3s. It's not the best, but it is usable. My voice sounds pretty good, but there definitely is a good amount of amplification going on here. But at least this microphone does somewhat of a job blocking out this AC unit. Because if we were to switch over to my lapel microphone, you're going to clearly hear that AC unit. But if we switch back over to the Momentums, it's not as bad. So with all that being said, I know the Aonic 50s are Shure's first pair of ANC headphones, but they have a lot of room for improvement. Personally, for me, I am not a fan of their flat bass. But also, their instrument separation and soundstage sounds average, especially when compared to these other two headphones. Now, if Shure wants to make these headphones a viable option for constant commuters, they need to shrink their carrying case down, they need to improve the active noise cancellation on these headphones, and they need to reduce the amount of wind noise the ambient mode on these headphones picks up. And it'll also be nice if these headphones got an adjustable EQ that gets loaded directly onto the headphones themselves, like how most other headphones do, so that your EQ settings follow you from app to app. Cause let's face it, the majority of people stream the majority of their music. Now, when it comes to choosing between the Sennheiser Momentum 3s and Bowers and Wilkins PX7s, personally, for me, I gotta go with the Momentum 3s cause for me, they're the most comfortable headphones here. But also, I really like listening to music with these headphones cause if you turn up their bass, they can be a lot of fun. But they also still have great instrument separation and a wide soundstage. But also, the active noise cancellation on these headphones is very good. Now, no, they don't block out as much noise as the Sony 1000 XM3s or Bose NC 700s, but they do have the least amount of cabin pressure here, and it doesn't change how your music sounds, all while blocking out a decent amount of noise. But then there are the PX7s. These headphones also sound really good, and they are the better option here for commuters because they have a longer battery life, a super tough carrying case, and they also block out the most amount of noise here. But their active noise cancellation does have a considerable amount of cabin pressure for ANC headphones in 2020. And these headphones might not fit everyone all that great because of their clamping force. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit that like button and get subscribed. It helps out more than you realize. If you want to pick another products up mentioned in this video, those will be linked in the description down below, and you can also support the channel by checking out the merch store. But other than that, I'll catch you next time.